All right, as you can see, this airbag light's on, and I'm getting a code that says AECM output driver circuit path open. That's on the occupant restraint controller. I have no idea what that is. All right, we've got a couple things wrong with this XJ. So this XJ, if I turn the key on, I don't get any. It's intermittent on the blower motor. So what we're going to do is leave the blower motor on like that and use a power probe to test it. Now the blower motor on these XJs are a pain to get to. It's back here behind the air conditioner dryer, but you see all the bolts are kind of embedded in there. So I'm really not sure how I'm going to... Oh, I touched it and it went off. So that tells me that I have a bad connection here somewhere. And before you do any work on an airbag system, make sure that you disconnect the battery and let it sit for a couple of minutes before you do any work. You don't want those airbags going off. So I disconnected the negative cable on here. It's been about 5 minutes. I also pulled out the console. There's plenty of videos on that. I may show you when I put it back in. I've got it soaking here. Now's a great time to clean. So the your airbag module in these XJs are located under the rear bracket here. So you have this device. This is the air conditioner and heating air vent that goes to the back seats. It just lifts up and pulls out just like this. And this right here is the airbag module. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. Now your original XJ, if you never replace it, has a plastic piece right here. They're garbage and horrible and they always break. This is a JCR off-road device that keeps your console from wobbling around. And I put this on here a couple of years ago. Works great. As you can see, it's metal. It still works good. But I do have to take it off to get to the airbag module. All right. So now that we've got all the screws done, let's see what it looks like under here. Okay. So the concern that I have is that this module is corroded or not working properly. So it might be just fine, but I'm going to unbolt it and check all the connections. Okay, it just has 1, 2, 3 of these 10mm nuts to take off, and then it should lift right up. Okay, time to inspect this airbag module. Here is the Chrysler part number and serial number, supplier code, and so forth. Now, the interesting thing about these modules is that in 1997 and maybe some of the 98 models, they were actually installed under the driver's seat. And what happened is water and gook would get into it and sludge, and then the module would go out. So there was a recall, and they moved them up here to the center hump to bring them higher. Now, once you get into, I think, 99 and above, 2000, 2001, they're all there from the factory. But if you got like a 97 or even maybe a 98, it might be under the seat, and I think there might be a recall on that you can still take advantage of. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pry open this and inspect the internal to make sure nothing's corroded and clean it with some contact cleaner. So it looks like I've got to put a little screwdriver under here, here, and then these two also. This one's corroded bad. All right. So it looks that this is in decent shape. I don't see any major corrosion on it anywhere. So what I'm going to do is just clean it out with some contact cleaner. All right, I've got the got it all cleaned up here, and let's go take a look and clean the connector CRC contact cleaner. All right, here is a connector, and it's kind of grimy. My daughter spilled something in the console that leaked through, but we're going to clean that up. Okay, cleaned the connector up with this contact cleaner and blew it out with some compressed air. Got my module all back together. Time to bolt it back. All right, now I got it bolted in. What you got to remember, just when you put this back in here, you need to make sure that it is seated completely and that it clicks on both sides, which it did, and press in these little lock tabs. And of course, the installation of the console is just the reverse. Put that bracket back on. And another thing I'm going to check while I'm here is this driver's side airbag. It's got two 8mm bolts on the back here. You take off and this thing should pop right out. Again, I can't stress the importance to make sure your battery is disconnected. Okay, take off two of these. Airbag should just lift right out. I wanted just to check the connections in here. They all seem to be doing good. Sometimes this clock spring back here goes bad, and if that goes bad, you've got to take the steering wheel off. It's pretty easy to do. The problem with the clock spring is that the auto parts stores only sell the clock spring with if it doesn't have cruise control. Well, this model has cruise control, so the clock spring I don't think is available through most major auto parts stores, but I'll still have to do some checking. But I just wanted to make sure all my connections were looking good, and they seem to be. I'm going to take these off and take a look at them and reconnect them, and of course, you know, my module. And then there is another airbag over here that I may or may not get to. And while I'm in here, I'm going to spray some contact cleaner and clean these connections. And to get this one off, all you've got to do is lift the back up and it'll pull right off. Some people get confused and think there's little tabs you've got to pinch in, but not really. It's just pressure. Just lift the back up and it'll pop right off. I'm going to clean these little connections and pop them right back. All right, let me put these bolts back in. And the great thing about having two XJs is we're going to take this one and we're going to test it over here. All right, we've got the other module installed, and let's see if the airbag light goes off. Yep. So, that module is bad. Crap. All right, so what I'm going to do is leave this module in here for my daughter, and then I'll get me another module for my XJ. All right, this XJ is all buttoned up, and just took it for a test drive for about 30 minutes, and no airbag light. So I say we are good to go on this one. All right, at the pull apart, hopefully they have a one of those modules in with the Cherokee. The online says they have a couple of Cherokees, so we're going to check it out. Of course, the Jeeps are all the way in the back. Oh, this is cool. Look at this 5th Avenue. These usually have pretty cool interiors. All right, here is a Cherokee. Let's hope it's got the center console in it, and it does. That means that the airbag module still should be under there. Clock spring is still there. It looks like the airbag did not deploy on this, so that means that that airbag module should be good. I do not see any front end damage on this, so therefore that airbag module should be good. And here's another Cherokee 2001 model. Let's see. Aha, this one's easier to get to. I see the airbag module there. Airbags are still intact. And I don't see any front end damage where this thing didn't get in any major wreck, so this one should work just fine here. Be easier to get out. Okay, I removed that. Very simple. Let me go. I might just go ahead and get both of them out of that other one too. I'm going to get the airbag module out of this one. Look, this was a manual transmission. This is kind of cool. Although I did look underneath it and there is no transmission left. Okay, got number 2. That ought to do it for those airbag modules. I also have an idea about a mod for the Jeep from a GM product. This is a 2012 Yukon. I think I'm going to get this rearview mirror out, and that way I have compass and temperature. Okay, let's take this Junkyard model. As you see, it's got the Junkyard marking on it. We'll go ahead and get it plugged in. Okay, got it all connected. Connected my battery. In moment of truth. Let's see what happens. I'm going to move out of the way of this airbag. Airbag lights on. Please go off. Please go off. Please go off. And it went off. Okay, awesome. Okay, so this module is good. Sweet. The Junkyard saves another XJ. I'm glad this thing worked, because otherwise I would have had to pay a pretty penny for one of these online, such as eBay or something like that. So let me show you what else I got in the Junkyard that's going to come on future videos. While I was at the Junkyard, I did pull out this nice rear view mirror from a mid-GM, and it is mid-2000s GM. It is going to give us a compass and an external temperature reading. And another thing that I pulled out while I was in the Junkyard is another one of these airbag modules. You never know, that's the bad one. That's another good one. I pulled out a gauge cluster. I know it does not have the full gauges, but to me, these are going to be the rare ones in the future. So anyway, don't know why. It was already, it was an easy pull. It was already taken out, so I just grabbed it. It's like 10 bucks. And finally, I got a grill. This is from my other XJ, which has a cracked grill. Okay, so I'm hoping that this video may have helped you out. If you have a pestering airbag light on your XJ or even your Jeep TJ. So y'all have a great weekend, and hope this helped.